I'm Ben Roberts with Sunex, and today we just wanted to talk about something that I think some people probably take for granted or perhaps think is trivial, but we want to talk a little bit about it because it can make quite a big difference to your overall image quality and camera assembly. And what we're talking about here today is lens thread. And just to give you an idea of what we're talking about, here is a lens mount. I'll try to get a little closer. And it's called a board mount for obvious reasons, hopefully, because you can see it's designed to be mounted directly to a PCB board through these little holes here. And then on the inside here, you'll see there's some thread. And when we have a lens, here we go. See if you can see that. There's matching thread. And the idea, of course, is you just screw the two together. And not only does that control the kind of centration over the sensor, but it also controls the focus. So you screw it down until it's in focus on the image plane, and you do your fine tuning with the thread. Now, all seems pretty simple, right? Well, let's take another look at the actual mechanism that we're using here in the thread. When we talk about thread or board mounts in terms of lenses, there's many different options. There's M8, there's M10, there's M12, but they all have a couple things in common. And I'm going to stand up here and just show you some basics of thread if you're not familiar with it already. So first of all, you've got the major and minor diameters. And the diameter of the thread or the barrel is this here. In this case, M12, could be M10 or M8. And then you've got the pitch between the threads, which is the 0.5 portion of this thread spec. And then in addition to that, you also have tolerance bands. Now, some of the tightest tolerance bands are G and H, and you can get deeper into this in the actual blog that we've written. But the idea is to note that the small letter H is for external, aka male thread, and the capital letter is always for internal or female thread. And the reason this is important is because it dictates how tight the fit is. Now, if we go back to our example here, with this lens here, you can see that the more you screw in a lens, the tighter it gets. And the reason for that is a couple things. First of all, the more thread engagement you have, the more friction there tends to be. But also in most cases, holders, the inside has a draft angle. And this applies a little bit to CNC, even more so to molded optics. But what's important to note is the fit of the lens at the focal plane. You'll notice that if I just engage a couple of threads, you might even be able to hear this, it's a little bit sloppy. But as you screw this into the nominal focal point, it'll start to tighten up. And why that is important is because when you try to focus this over your sensor, you're going to notice with threads there has to be a little bit of play or the threads won't move. But it's important not to have too much play, or that tip and tilt and the backlash that's inherent in any threaded system is not causing focal plane problems with your lens. So that's one of the considerations with thread or board mount lenses. The reason this is important is because when you design your lens assembly in your camera module and when you go to assemble it, the fit between the mount and the lens is important. And these are some of the considerations, as well as what you can read on our blog. So the question is, how does this affect me? How in practice, what does that mean? Well, what it means is that Sunex can help you to match the lens and the mount together closely. And in fact, it's usually a good idea to buy the mount from the same place you buy the lens for that reason. What's interesting is that even if all of the lens thread specs and mount specs are within tolerance, there's still enough room in that tolerance band to create problems during the optical assembly and alignment and focus process. So if you let Sunex help you to pick the right lens and mount combination, we even have the ability to do minor modifications on those lens and mount combinations to get you the best fit and the best chance of success when you're focusing your module. Thank you very much.